Music and Performing Arts, a trophy that was donated some time back by Lionel Perez, and it's still contested for by Gara. And crews of both clubs are making sure that the Yolas are in good condition before the start of the race, ensuring that there is no last-minute hitch, so that everything is in perfect order for what is quite a tough race. Well, we've got ourselves into more appropriate clothing to follow the race from close in, courtesy of the Royal Gibraltar Police Fast Launch. And we're now on the east side of the rock. 5 boats altogether taking part, 3 from Calpe and 2 from Med. And surely the Med first crew of Bensadon, Yates, Moreno and Viñales, coxed by Hemi, must start out as favourites. Let's see what happens. And so on to the start of the race, a distance of approximately 1,400 meters from the northern end of Eastern Beach to the southern end of Catalan Bay. Conditions were not too bad, with a fairly calm sea and a rather picturesque setting with the north front of the rock as a backdrop. In lane 5, nearest to camera, is the Calpe third crew, and moving away from us in that order, Calpe second crew next to them in lane 4, Med Rowing Club second crew rowing down the middle in lane 3, Calpe first crew in lane 2, and Med crew, who are just out of picture at the moment, they are in lane 1 and furthest away from camera. Now, this may not be an ideal course for oarsmen, but it was probably quite interesting for beach onlookers, although it has to be said that spectators at Eastern Beach must have been left wondering how it all finished once the boats had passed the southern end of the beach. At this stage, all 5 boats are still pretty even Stevens, nobody making a move to try and break away. You can see here our boat, and they're almost all level as they approach the north front and get closer to the reclamation area between both beaches. There's an attempt here by the Calpe second crew to break away, although that might be the angle of the camera, but they were rowing quite well at this stage of the race, and their early efforts were to reward them with gaining 3rd place overall at the end of the race. It's at this stage here that we're seeing now the boats are trying to make a definite effort to pull away, and although they're still quite close in, eventually when we get to the reclamation area between Eastern Beach and Catalan Bay, it is the Med first crew that start to make some distance, and you can see it here now. They're just pulling away from the Calpe first crew in lane 2. They're just following them. They managed to build a lead of 1 length to 1.5 lengths, and they were able to hold this right through to the end of the race. And it was really up to the others now to try and close down the gap, but this was not going to happen. In fact, one felt that the Med first crew always had a little bit left in reserve if they needed it to pull away further. But certainly encouraging signs from the Calpe first and second crews. They do seem to have a lot of youngsters coming through in their ranks, undoubtedly due to the hard work of club captain Leslie Grech. And we're now approaching the northern end of Catalan Bay for the finish line, and conditions for filming were not ideal, particularly towards the end of the race when a number of boats cut in front of us and made it difficult for our camera to catch the finish. But the Med crew, first crew by this stage, were now well in control as they approach Our Lady of Sorrows, and they get nearer to the finishing line, which is coming up round about now. And it was quite a little bit frustrating not to be able to get closer in for the finishing line, but as you just saw there, some of those jet skis in front of us made it quite difficult to get a closer look of the finishing line. But here are the crews coming in now. The first crew of the Med, with Tyrone Moreno, James Viñales, Liam Yates, Stuart Bensadon, and coxed by Mark Hemi, winning in a time of 5:04.87. And there are the other Calpe crews deliberating on how the race has gone just below the Caleta Palace. Calpe first crew came in second with a time of 5:09.32, and there's the winning Med crew, who also won the Giraldi Challenge Cup on Sunday inside harbour waters with a distance of 2,000 meters, although this time round they were coxed by Alves, and their winning time in that race was 6:39.63. And now over to Dennis for the first part of the